Hey, good morning. Happy birthday, George. I was sitting there thinking I'm going to wish George a happy birthday, and that would give me time to reshuffle my notes. But happy birthday, George. All right. So, yeah, I was driving along the other day, and I heard on the radio somebody was talking about the mission of the Messiah and how Jesus had done this or that, and how Jesus had accomplished this or accomplished that. And I was saying to myself, well, how does he know? How does he know what the mission of the Messiah is? He doesn't know. He can't possibly know because he's not the Messiah. You know, I was thinking about that, you know. Anybody ever been told to think outside the box? You've been told to think outside the box. We all have boxes, right? Our experiences, our education, what we've learned from other people, how we deal with the world. That's our box. We can't deal with every situation one at a time, so we have a certain way of dealing with situations, and it goes into our box. We just go along. And we all have our boxes. Originally, our boxes were supposed to be God's boxes, right? God created man in his own image. Male and female, he created them. God created us male and female. Who's in favor of that? Do men and women have the same box? Does anybody know? You guys, yes? No? No. When guys are looking around inside their boxes, do they find the same thing women find? No. In fact, I look at men and I think, is there any thought that's too stupid or too dangerous to fit into a man's box? I really doubt it. I saw some videos I saw once, and I don't know, I never really could understand it, but this guy planned having a video of himself of, riding his bike up to a cactus plant and doing a backflip into the cactus plant and catching it on video. Don't ask me, I have no idea what the purpose of that would be. But anyway, he went ahead and did that, and he flipped over and he lands in this plant, and he shouts out like he's surprised that, "Oh!" Like he's in pain, or like he's surprised that this actually hurts when he does this. He's screaming, "Help me, get me out, help me," landing in a cactus plant on his back. Or I saw another video, a guy was on the roof of a nice, just a one-story house, and he was going to do a backflip into the front yard. Just one story, nothing to worry about, right? So off he goes, and then, it's the kind of one you don't even want to watch the conclusion of. You know what's going to happen. So I thought, why are these people surprised? Why are they laying on the ground moaning in pain? Why are they surprised? Well, that's what's great about being a guy, however. So I have my boxes too. My family can tell you about my computer box, how I deal with my computer. And my computer box is not real strong on the tools there. So like when anything goes wrong, like a capital letter comes up instead of a small letter, or it doesn't space, or anything that's like, no matter how minor, I get very excited, very irritated. I start cursing the computer, and if it persists for more than 20 or 30 seconds, I might start punching it. I have very little tolerance for computers making mistakes. So when I look around in my box for solutions to computer problems, obviously I don't find anything. There's nothing there. So when I look around my box and there's no solution, I just pick up whatever is in my box. The anger, resentment, that kind of stuff. That's there, so we get to work with that. Obviously, it's not a good solution. My kids have to run upstairs. "Daddy, stop." My wife, "Daddy, you have to love creation. Daddy, you're not practicing principle." Oh, God, I just want to destroy this computer, that's all. Anyway, originally God created our mind to be in his image, to look at the world the way God looks at the world, to solve problems the way God would solve problems. And that should be our box. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we look at the world, we find something very different. There are many problems in this world. And we know that when there's problems between black people and white people just go right into their box. They go into their box on how to deal with other people, black people, white people. Even nations, America and Russia are great nations. But when they have a confrontation, they go into their box, their national box, how to deal with the problem. And religious people, hard to talk to other religious people, because as soon as they start discussing ideas, everybody goes into their box. The ideas that have got them through life, the ideas that have worked for them, the ideas that they use to survive. Or even politics, when Democrats start talking to Republicans, they go into their box. Well, that shows us something, that it doesn't matter what country you come from. It doesn't matter what religious background you have. It doesn't matter what race you are in. It doesn't matter what your politics are. We all share that same box, that common problem. That when we look into our box, there are no real solutions to the problem. Like me and my computer, there's no solutions there. But when we look into the box, we all find the same things. We find the anger. We find the greed, the selfishness, the resentment. Those we share universally. Doesn't matter where we come from. There are no definition, no defining barriers to those problems. So God created us, our box in his image. But in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, God tells us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." That's disappointing. I kind of liked being in God's image. I don't want to find out that it's not the case. So instead of being in God's image, we have another image, right? How did we get into that situation? How did we get into that problem? That's the fall of man. And the fall of man is very simple. The divine principle explains it. God said, "Don't eat." And Lucifer said, "Eat." This is clearly two exact opposite directions. What was God's way? Don't eat. What was God's thoughts? Don't eat. What was Eve's way? It was not God's way. What was Eve's activity? What was Eve's thought? It was not God's thought. And so we began the process. We inherited all this from Eve, all this. We found out from divine principle that not only did they act different from God and think different from God, they also inherited from Lucifer anger, greed, envy, resentment, selfishness. So that fills the box of people. Since then, our box has been filled with these satanic attributes. This is the common inheritance of all mankind. We all share this inheritance. No matter where we come from, no matter where in the world we look for answers for problems of human relationships, our box is always empty. All the solutions we find are going to be from Lucifer: anger, envy, selfishness, resentment, greed. So divine principle really makes this situation very simple and clear. And I like to look at what divine principle says. The kingdom of heaven on earth is a society whose structure is formed in the image of a perfect person. Likewise, fallen society may be regarded as formed in the likeness of a fallen person. We can better understand the history of societies built by sinful humanity by examining the inner life of a fallen person. A fallen person possesses both an original mind, which prompts him to pursue goodness, and an evil mind, which fills him with evil desires and rebels against the promptings of the original mind. Undeniably, the two minds are constantly at war with each other, inclining us towards shifting and conflicting behaviors. Since human society is composed of individuals who are constantly at war within themselves, interactions among them cannot help but be full of discord and conflict. Shifting, conflicting behaviors. Everybody here in this room has had their life impacted by shifting, conflicting behaviors. Everybody has experienced loss or problems due to shifting, conflicting behaviors. From being underpaid at work, you don't have to raise your hands, I know who you are. From being underpaid at work, why are you underpaid? Because we live in a godless economy. That's why you're underpaid. This is not God's economy. From being harassed by the government. What are governments supposed to do? What is the government set up to do? Serve the people. You know, the great servants from the IRS, the EPA. Many of you have servants from the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Lots of problems people get from the governments, even in a good country like this. How much more so in nations that are totalitarian? Even if you're good, the world around you, on every level, is bombarding you, pushing you, guiding you, hurting you, to fill your box with the same negativity that the world is composed of. I read a speech Father said, consider Adam and Eve. Think about Adam and Eve. They had no experience of any evil thinking or action. They never saw an evil action. They never heard an angry word. They never heard a resentful word. Nobody ever said anything to them that was resentful. Can you even imagine the purity of a mind like that? We can't even imagine the state of Adam and Eve before the fall. Never seeing an angry word, never hearing a resentful word, never seeing a selfish action. For us, it's unimaginable. How pure Adam and Eve must have been. What their box looked like before they fell. How about, what if we find a situation where peace and love abound, where there's happiness and joy? What would happen to us? If you put peace, love, and happiness and joy into that box and mix it up with the envy, greed, selfishness, everything is corrupted and ruined. Even the joy and peace and happiness. That's why Jesus said you can't put new wine into old wineskins. You can't put new wine into old wineskins. And then that's what made me think about the Messiah when I was hearing this guy talk about Jesus' mission. I said, I know what my box is like, but I don't know what the Messiah's box is like. I mean, I just can't imagine what it is like in there. There's no relationship, probably, between our boxes. But I don't know about you, but I kind of would like to know what's in there. I kind of would like to know what's going on there. I don't know about you, but I would like to say that I am the image of God. How's that sound? Only one guy? How's that sound? I'd like to say that God is my Father. You want to say that? I'd like to say that I can monopolize the love of God. I'd like to say that I live in a family of love. Everybody in my family loves each other. I'd like to say that. And I'd like to live in a world of peace. I'd like to stop worrying about Iran's nuclear arms, North Korea's bombs, our bombs. Why do I have to worry about, why are we building weapons of such destructive capacity? Why do people do these things? I'd like to live in a place where people don't do that. Why should I have to think about that at all? Would you like to live like that? Well, how will that happen? How's that going to happen? Today's Hundred said that the Messiah can overcome the barrier and bring our separated mind and body into oneness. Because the Messiah is someone that God can say, his thoughts are my thoughts. His ways are my ways. The Messiah shares God's thoughts and shares God's ways because he has the same box as God. So when he looks into his box, does he find anger and resentment? Does he find selfishness and greed? Or does he find patience and kindness, humility, mercy? Does he find a hunger and thirst for righteousness? What does he find? Hello, yeah. Well, how do you know? I didn't tell you. What makes you so sure what he finds? The only way you can find out is if he tells us what's in his box. What he tells us is in there. That's when we know what's inside the Messiah's box. When he tells us. So let's take an example. Jesus told us, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God." These words were not in the box of fallen men. These words were words to put yourself down and elevate others. In the fallen world, people put the others down and elevate themselves. So these words were revolutionary words in Jesus' day, 2,000 years ago. But they're still revolutionary today. Because these words are still not found in fallen man's box. It takes a Messiah to say these things, to know these things. So I want to know more, but I want to know more. I want to know more about that box because I want to get better at it. So what does Reverend Moon tell us? This is where we have the great benefit. We can read from Father. God's ultimate purpose in his creation of man is to give him all his love, all his life, and all his ideal. You are to occupy the entire love of God to the depth of his heart. By becoming his true sons and daughters, your desire will be fulfilled. That is your ultimate destiny. Then you will be saturated with the love of God. You will be filled with joy and feel overwhelmed by a total satisfaction in life. There is no limit to joy. Happiness has no end. When you are standing in the love of God, every cell in your body jumps for joy. You breathe in and out with the entire universe. In this state, your life is fulfilled. This is how God means us to live, intoxicated in love and joy. And through our joy, God receives his joy. The joy of man is the joy of God. and the joy of God is the joy of man. There is nothing that can go beyond this feeling of joy. Every cell in your body will explode with joy. Your eyes and ears, the tissues in your face, your arms and legs, everything will be newly alive in a rapture of joy. Nothing else can ever match this quality of joy. This is the plan of God's original creation. How's that sound? All right, George, how's that sound? Birthday boy, I want to hear the most from you. I want to hear my people out here. Let me ask you another question. Let's think about this. Last week, how many people were concerned about the amount of joy you were feeling? Last week, how many times were you put in a situation where people were concerned about the joy in your life? Was that when you were crossing the George Washington Bridge? They were real concerned right there? Yeah, right. How many people do you meet who are concerned about your joy? What else is in that box of the Messiah? I'm going to read from a speech from Chun Sung Young. The love of a husband and wife is eternal. There are not two kinds of such love. There is just one. When a man and a woman are joined together in love, they must live together on earth for 100 years. And even after they die, they are to live together eternally. Although they have two bodies, they become one body. And as they rotate together, they create oneness. When the two bodies become one, they come to rotate with God and establish a four-position foundation of love. This is nothing less than the ideal world. Another quote. The person who conquers the universe with this true love is going to be your mate. He will be a king of love. He will be the only absolute king of love in your life. He will be your subject and master. And for him, you will write poetry and songs of love, pouring out your heart. God is almighty in that respect. And he has the ability to make each of you a king of love. So you shall have such ecstatic joy as this. God is the King of kings of love, and he is eager to see each of his children becoming kings of love, each creating his own empire of love where God can dwell. Anybody interested in that? How does that sound? Did you hear that on CNN last week? Think about the world that you're coming in and out of every day. Do you ever hear anything like that? Your boxes are full of crap, and I'm telling you, we don't need that crap in our boxes. I feel like a hermit crab. I want to throw off my shell, my old box. I want to throw off my old shell and put a new box on. Right? I want to do that. So getting out of this box that we have and getting into the Messiah's box would be our way to find oneness with God. Would be our way to overcome the barrier between our mind and separated mind and body. Would be our way to drain out the satanic blood, begin a new lineage. So this is we have an incredible opportunity right here, right now. This is a moment unlike any moment in history. And we should not be passive observers of this moment. I want to read a little Zen. I'm a Zen man. You know that? I'm a Zen man. I'm going to read some Zen. The young Buddhist was badgering his teacher again as they strolled by the river, wanting to know how and when he could become enlightened. Finally, the teacher grabbed the boy by the sleeve, pulled him into the river, plunged his head underwater, and held him there. As the oxygen in the boy's lungs was absorbed and carbon dioxide began bubbling into its place, he began thrashing and clawing to free himself. Still, the teacher held his head under water until the first hint that he was about to start breathing water. The teacher then pulled him up out of the water and let him gasp and sputter for a moment. Then he said, "When you want to find God as desperately and single-mindedly as you wanted just one more breath of air, you will very soon discover this enlightenment you seek." How badly do I really want a new box? I have to ask myself that. We have to read something. We have to read something every day. That's the point. Father introduced this Hyundai thing in the 80s, maybe back in 82 or something. We have to read something every day. It doesn't matter how much or how little. The more the better. The fallen world we live in reflects men whose lives are alien to joy. Alien to joy. And when you're out there, joy is far away, almost all the time. Their lives are built on shifting, conflicting thoughts and behaviors. We were born in that place, and we are in that place. But we don't want that place to become part of us. We have a choice now, which place we can be in. Which kind of box am I gonna have? Because I was born there and I lived there, and I don't like that world. I don't like that world. You like it? I don't want that world to become a part of me or to stay a part of me. I don't want to torture my family by staying in that world. I don't want to punish my civilization by being part of that world. And I have a choice. But how badly do I want to make that choice? At least how badly do I want to really find out what's in Father's box, what's in the Messiah's box? What was Jesus thinking about? How did Jesus deal with it? So we have to pour new wine into new wineskins. We have new wine, right? Is this new wine? Yes. They answered. Yes. Is this book outside of the box? Yes. It's outside the box. You bet. We should read that book. We should read the Bible. Because when you read Divine Principle, the Bible can be revived, really become new wine again. The words of Jesus are incredibly powerful. Jesus was, man, I wouldn't mess with Jesus because he just handled everybody. One-liners galore and deadly one-liners. So don't mess with Jesus. Because in his box was God's thinking. Don't mess with that. And we have to realize that nothing is changing this world that's inside the box. We have to get outside the box. So we're not going to change the world by watching Fox News. We're not going to change the world by studying the New York Times, the National Review. We can't do anything with that. If we want to make a difference in the world, we have to show the world a different box. We have to show the world a different action. We have to show the world unshifting, non-conflicting behaviors. Our box has got to be God's box. We can make a dramatic difference in this world. We can make a dramatic difference in this world just by getting outside the box and being who we are. Because we came into new life through true parents, right? So we should be reborn with a new box. So Father always emphasized, read something every day. I have some experiences. I've seen people change my life. I've seen people change their lives if they chose to read Father's words. And I know that for myself, I want to be like that guy with needing a breath of air. I have to read something. So I can have a new box. I want to make a difference in this world. I am the difference maker. And God bless you all. Make a difference too.